avoid selective investigations which are aimed at protecting white corruption and to use the office of the public protector as a political weapon for regime change, to settle political scores, and to serve the economic interests of white monopoly capital. Our movement has material interest in these two investigations, and we are a stakeholder. These investigations are the following. Number one, the investigation of the 26 billion stolen from the South African Reserve Bank, which is reported in the so-called CIX report, 26 billion, that's the first. The second report and investigation is the state capture, which relates to the events of December 2015 last year with regard to the appointment of the Minister of Finance. Now, our position on fees must fall demands. BLF believes that the state president, Mr. Jacob Zuma, must not fall into the trap set up by regime change agents who want to set the president against the students. The demands of the students are legitimate. The president has called for a commission on the matter, but this commission's work has been undermined by Dr. Blade Nzimande and Minister Pravin Gordhan. The two have created conditions for a confrontation between the state and students to happen. We call on the president to show leadership and to refuse to use any heavy-handed tactics to deal with the students. The president has to come out clear and state his position on free education. Furthermore, we call on the president to declare that no fees increase to be permitted this year, as was the case in the last financial year. The president must declare free education as a policy directive and then engage the private sector to carry out part of the burden of free education, including taxing the rich more. The problem in South Africa is that the rich and the private sector are not taxed. Let them pay for free education. Failure to do so shall only give more ammunition to the regime change agents who are hoping to use the legitimate struggles of the students. BLF salutes the resolve of the students in their legitimate battle for free education. Furthermore, BLF salutes the revolutionary students who continue to reject the pro-imperialist calls for regime change. Free education is a right and it's not impossible to achieve. We ask the president, no more delays. Free education now. And to Blade Nzimande, we know that the reason he gave universities carte blanche to raise fees is because he wants there to be a social upheaval together with Pravin Gordhan, which is aimed at the removal of President Zuma. On the persecution of Mr. Hlaudi Motsoeneng, BLF is aware that ever since Mr. Hlaudi Motsoeneng has shown leadership and become one of the pioneers of transformation in our country, he has come under sustained and unjustifiable attacks. The campaign against Mr. Motsoeneng is carried out by the same racist elements who want to hand the country over to whites. The DA is a party of white capital and defender of racism. Mr. Motsoeneng is being persecuted because he had dared to take a radical stance on transformation. BLF celebrates his effort as the first black manager since 1994 to ensure that 90% local content in our radio programs and 80% local content in television. This is revolutionary. And all South Africans should celebrate this and defend this progressive development. The 90% local content has greatly already empowered South African artists and would equally contribute to the development of television and the film industry. Mr. Motweni is an example of what we call a patriotic manager who pushes for transformation against all odds. All black managers must learn from Mr. Hlaudi Motweni. Imagine if all black managers had to take this position, including cabinet. 90% of everything must go to local people. Land, economy, JSE, banks, mining. We will be free tomorrow if we all set and follow the example set by Hlaudi Motweni, who today is being vilified by forces that are against progress. Mr. Motweni is a warrior for change. That is why he is being persecuted and has come under attack. BLF is aware that white-directed and foreign-funded NGOs, or the so-called civil society, has appealed to white banks, white capital, in particular the banks, to join in the fight, their reactionary fight, to silence Mr. Motweni. Furthermore, it is clear to us that the regime change and the anti-transformation forces inside the ANC are hell-bent to satisfy their white masters by persecuting Mr. Motweni. Mr. Motweni is a citizen like all of us and has rights. The kangaroo court set up by Jackson Mthembu in Parliament against the SABC board is a witch hunt calculated to hound Mr. Motweni out of the SABC. I mean, after all these years of service, Jackson Mthembu thinks he can just go to Parliament, insult and fire at will. We have to ask, what is the point of calling the board of the SABC before Parliament when Mr. Jackson Mthembu has already told the world that he is going to instigate a motion to dissolve the board, even before each side of the story has been heard? This is not an oversight activity. This is gangsterism. This is gangsterism and kangaroo court tactics that Mthembu and his cohorts are involved in. We call on the parliamentary committee to protect the SABC board and Mr. Motweni against these unjust attacks aimed at intimidating not just Mr. Hlaudi Motweni, but all black managers who are committed to transformation. After getting rid of Hlaudi Motweni, the question in the minds of many black managers is going to be, who is next? Jack Daniels Mthembu. We say hands off Hlaudi. Enjoy your Jack, Mr. Mthembu. But when you are inside your Jack Daniels bottle, do not pronounce irresponsibly and recklessly on such important matters. Now, we turn on the issue of imperialism and our call on hands off President Zuma. Our movement wishes to extend our gratitude to the progressive and revolutionary people of South Africa for having shown great support to the call made by our movement last month to stand up against imperialism and regime change plans aimed to illegally remove the president of the country, Mr. Jacob Zuma. Our movement has been greatly alarmed.
President of Black First